So a few weeks ago, I got a sales flyer from KE Arms that had an interesting item in it. Cosmetic Blim Young Manufacturing Bolt Carrier Groups that, and I'm quoting here, are 100% functional, just not up to our normal standards for finish or engraving. Tooling marks or off-center engraving may be present, end quote. KE Arms, if you didn't know, purchased Young Manufacturing in May of 2021. I immediately jumped on this offer because I've got a build in the works that a slick side chrome carrier would just perfectly match. And I've owned other Young Manufacturing bolt carrier groups before with good results. They are or were great products, aside from the controversy over staking your carrier key. The chrome is applied properly to them. It lasts, doesn't flake off. They're in spec and well machined. I don't know what more you could ask for. So the first bolt carrier group I received didn't even pass the teardown inspection on my desk at work. I never even tried to put it in a rifle. And that's because the pin bore on the bolt for the extractor pin was too tight. It was basically causing an interference fit. And that pin needed to be basically smashed out of there with a hammer and punch, which if you've never taken the extractor off of an AR-15 bolt before, that's not normal. You should be able to field strip the bolt. And the way I was taught to do that when I was in the military is you sort of squeeze down on the tail of the extractor to relieve the spring pressure and use the tip of the firing pin very gently so as not to damage it to just push out. I'm gonna go the other way. Push that pin out, just get it started. And when you put pressure on the back of the extractor, you'll sort of feel everything loosen up if you get it in the right spot. And you should be able to pull that extractor pin out by hand. Not only that, the extractor pin, if you insert it into the bolt, should spin freely on both sides, which it does. And if you insert it into the extractor should spin freely around the pin, which it does. So they fixed that problem with this replacement that I got from them. And it didn't take very long to get. As a matter of fact, that whole process was painless. They're very easy to deal with, very responsive to emails. So unfortunately, the second bolt carrier group is way out of spec as well. They did, as I demonstrated, fix the issue with the pin bore and the bolt, but now we have a whole other issue. It's probably even worse. And now we're sort of at the stage of fool me twice, shame on me. So just to demonstrate the issue, I've got 3 other bolts here of sort of known good quality. This is a Toolcraft. It's from a USGI part spare contract with the Toolcraft cage code on the side of it. This is a BCM, their typical mil-spec bolt carrier group with the full auto profile. This is another Young's bolt carrier that I purchased quite a long time ago, so not related to the current production issues. I believe I purchased this in October of 2012. And this is a National Match side charger model. And it's got quite a few miles on it, as you can see from all the caked up carbon on it. And of course, we've got the new production model. And to demonstrate the fitment issues, I've got an upper here. This is an Aero-built upper, 16-inch, just sort of a low-end, very good quality upper receiver. And, you know, lest you think maybe that Aero Precision is just tight tolerances and that's the actual problem, I have a real deal USGI M16A2 upper receiver. So this is manufactured by Capco, and it was part of the M16A1 to M16A2 product improvement program. And this is in sort of unissued condition. So starting off with the Aero upper and the Toolcraft bolt carrier group. What you want to see is before the bolt engages the star chamber, you want free movement. Matter of fact, this will fall out of this upper if I don't hold it in, if I hold it in an angle. It's the same story with the BCM. Very slick, and it literally falls out of the upper. With the older production Young National Match, exact same story, totally slick, falls out of the upper. And finally, the new production Young National Match, I'm just going to use one finger pressure to push it, and I'm getting hung up right about there. So hopefully you can hear this. It is grinding into place, and I can force it. It's getting a little more tough, but it's not even engaging the star chamber, and it is pretty well, it's now stuck. Okay, we're getting it out. But needless to say, you don't want that. That's going to cause malfunctions, or at the very best, these two parts will wear into each other, and now you've got an out-of-spec upper receiver once the upper wears in, being the softer part. So we'll get that out of there again, and you can hold this upside down, won't fall out. That should not happen. This should fall right out of there. So just to demonstrate the exact same thing with the M16A2 upper, Toolcraft bolt carrier, extremely slick, almost like it was made to go in there, because it was. The BCM, again, same situation, very slick. Older production Young National Match carrier, very slick, doesn't get hung up at all. And then we get to the new production Young Slick Side carrier. And it actually hangs up sooner than the Arrow, so believe it or not, this M16A2 upper that was made in the 90s is tighter than a new manufactured Arrow Precision. I can force it. I really don't want to, though, because this is actually quite a valuable upper. But I mean, as you can see, if I hold this thing upside down, that bolt's not coming out of there, and it should just freely fall out of there. So again, what's going to happen? These parts, if it doesn't malfunction, they're going to wear in, and the wearing will be on the upper receiver, and then your upper receiver will be out of spec. And perhaps that can lead to accuracy issues or who knows what. So this has left me with quite a sour taste in my mouth. I have no doubt that I'm going to get my money back for this. As I mentioned, they've been very responsive, and they actually offered to refund me the first time around, and I said, no, I really want this bolt carrier. But unfortunately, I've gotten 2 lemons in a row, and I believe that there must be something going on here. This is just my conjecture, but I think it's one of 2 things. Either A, the QC at Young Manufacturing has really gone by the wayside since KE Arms took over, and these sorts of problems are happening to all of their products, not just these cosmetic blims. Or option B, someone at Young Manufacturing was throwing a bunch of out-of-spec parts in a pile, and somebody else looked at that pile and said, aha, cosmetic blims, and assembled them into what you see right here. So maybe they knew that these parts were out of spec at some point in their process, but due to a procedural failure, they got sent out the door anyway. Whether it's A or B, I don't think it really matters. I would have to recommend against buying anything from Young Manufacturing at this point. Maybe look for new old stock if they make an item that you've got to have. I happen to have found 2 obvious defects. But the reason I'm not rolling the dice on a third bolt carrier group is that I have no confidence in what they're putting out, and not all defects are obvious. Some are actually quite insidious, like bad heat treatment. So anyway, at this point in the video, I'd tell you to like and subscribe, but I'm not a beggar, so do whatever you want. Have a good day.